Some archaeological discoveries answer long-standing questions. Others create entirely new mysteries. Few objects represent that second category better than the Roman Dodecahedron, a small bronze artifact that has puzzled historians for nearly 3 centuries. At first glance, it doesn't look particularly extraordinary. It's roughly the size of a baseball made of bronze, with 12 pentagonal faces. Each face contains a circular hole, but the holes are all different sizes. At every corner sits a small rounded knob, giving the object an appearance unlike any tool, weapon, or ornament commonly associated with the Roman Empire. Simple in appearance, complex in construction, and completely unexplained. Since the first examples were discovered in the 18th century, more than 130 Roman dodecahedrons have been unearthed across Europe. They have been found in Britain, France, Belgium, Germany, Luxembourg, Switzerland, Austria, and parts of the Netherlands. Yet despite the growing number of discoveries, archaeologists still cannot say with certainty what these objects were designed to do. That uncertainty is extraordinary. The Romans were meticulous record keepers. They documented military equipment, engineering projects, religious ceremonies, legal systems, medical practices, and even household tools. Thousands of inscriptions, manuals, letters, and official records have survived from the Roman world. Yet nowhere in those records is there a clear description of the bronze dodecahedron. No Roman writer gives it a name. No military inventory lists it. No craftsman's manual explains how it was used. It is as though these objects existed outside the written history of the empire. That silence has inspired decades of speculation. Some researchers believe the dodecahedrons were practical measuring devices. Others suggest they were candle holders, astronomical instruments, knitting tools, military rangefinders, or decorative ceremonial objects. Each theory appears convincing at first. Then, the evidence begins to raise new questions. If they were measuring instruments, why is there no standardized size? If they were candle holders, why do many examples show no signs of prolonged heat exposure? If they were military equipment, why have none been found in Roman military manuals or official supply records? Every proposed explanation solves one mystery while creating another. In recent years, artificial intelligence has entered the discussion. Modern AI systems can compare archaeological data, analyze manufacturing techniques, identify patterns across hundreds of discoveries, and organize evidence far faster than any individual researcher. This has led to sensational headlines claiming that Grok AI finally revealed the true purpose of the Roman dodecahedron and that its conclusion shocked everyone. But is that really what happened? The public evidence tells a different story. There is no verified archaeological study showing that Grok AI solved the mystery of the Roman dodecahedron or that experts accepted a new AI-generated explanation as fact. What AI can do is something equally fascinating. It can compare dimensions, map discovery locations, identify manufacturing similarities, and evaluate how well different theories fit the available evidence. Rather than replacing archaeologists, AI helps researchers examine old mysteries from new perspectives. And when it comes to the Roman dodecahedron, that perspective reveals something remarkable. Not a final answer, but a mystery that may be even deeper than historians first imagined. The more archaeologists studied the Roman dodecahedron, the more one fact became impossible to ignore. This was not a cheaply made object. Every known example was cast in bronze using advanced metalworking techniques that required highly skilled craftsmen. The hollow body had to be carefully shaped with 12 perfectly connected pentagonal faces, while 20 small knobs were attached to each corner with remarkable precision. In the Roman world, bronze was a valuable material. It was used for weapons, coins, statues, tools, and military equipment. Creating an object this intricate demanded time, resources, and technical expertise. No craftsman would have produced something so complex without a clear purpose. That immediately raises an important question. If the dodecahedron served an important function, why don't archaeologists know what that function was? Adding to the mystery is the fact that no two examples are exactly alike. Some are only a few centimeters across, while others are considerably larger. The circular holes vary in diameter, even on the same object. The knobs differ slightly in shape, and the proportions are never perfectly standardized. For Roman engineering, this is unusual. The empire was famous for standardization. Military equipment, measuring tools, and construction materials often followed consistent designs that allowed them to be reproduced across vast territories. The dodecahedron doesn't fit that pattern. Instead, each example appears to have been individually crafted. That detail has challenged one popular theory after another. For many years, some researchers believed the objects were military rangefinders. By looking through pairs of holes with different diameters, soldiers might have estimated the distance to a target. It was an elegant idea. But when archaeologists compared the dimensions of dozens of surviving examples, they discovered there was no consistent mathematical relationship between the holes. If each object had different measurements, accurate distance calculations would have been nearly impossible without additional markings. Another proposal suggested they were candle holders. A few specimens were reportedly found with traces of wax, leading some researchers to imagine candles placed inside the hollow bronze frame. Yet this explanation also raises problems. The object is open on every side. Melted wax would easily drip through the large holes, and many dodecahedrons show no clear evidence of prolonged exposure to heat or soot that would normally be expected from regular use as a lamp. Others proposed that the objects were used in textile production. According to this idea, different sized holes helped knit gloves or weave cords. While creative, this theory has never gained broad acceptance. No ancient artwork depicts such a device in use, and microscopic studies have not revealed the consistent wear patterns that repeated textile work would likely produce. One by one, the theories seemed promising. One by one, they encountered evidence they couldn't fully explain. Perhaps the greatest clue lies not in the object itself, but in where it has been found. Nearly every Roman dodecahedron has been discovered in the northwestern provinces of the Roman Empire. Modern-day Britain, northern France, Belgium, Germany, Luxembourg, and nearby regions. Curiously, none have been found in Rome itself. None have been recovered from Italy, and they are almost entirely absent from the empire's eastern provinces, where countless Roman artifacts have survived. This geographical pattern has fascinated archaeologists for decades. Why would an object appear across frontier regions but remain virtually unknown in the heart of the empire? Was it a local invention adopted by Roman communities? A ceremonial object unique to Northern Europe? Or something connected to cultures that existed alongside Roman rule rather than within its official institutions? These questions remain unanswered. In recent years, researchers have begun using digital mapping and AI-assisted analysis to compare every known discovery site. Rather than focusing on a single artifact, computers can examine patterns across more than 130 finds, searching for relationships that humans might overlook. So far, those analyses have highlighted intriguing geographic clusters, but they have not produced a definitive explanation. Instead, they have reinforced one important conclusion. The Roman dodecahedron was almost certainly important. It was expensive to manufacture. It was carefully crafted. It was distributed across specific regions. And whatever purpose it served, it mattered enough for people to produce it repeatedly over generations. The mystery isn't whether the object had a function. The mystery is why that function has disappeared from history. For years, archaeologists focused on the Roman dodecahedron itself, its shape, its holes, its craftsmanship. But eventually, researchers realized they might be asking the wrong question. Instead of asking, "What is it?" they began asking, "Where is it found?" The answer turned out to be one of the most intriguing clues in the entire mystery. To date, more than 130 Roman dodecahedrons have been discovered, but they are not scattered evenly across the former Roman Empire. Instead, they appear within a remarkably specific region. Most have been found in Britain, northern France, Belgium, western Germany, Luxembourg, Switzerland, and parts of the Netherlands, areas that once formed the northwestern frontier of Roman rule. That distribution is striking. The Roman Empire stretched from Britain to the Middle East and from Germany to North Africa. Roman soldiers, merchants, and officials traveled thousands of miles across this vast territory. Yet no confirmed Roman dodecahedron has been found in the city of Rome itself. None have appeared in Pompeii. None have been recovered from Egypt, Greece, Syria, or the wealthy eastern provinces where countless Roman artifacts have survived. If the dodecahedron were an ordinary Roman tool, historians would expect to find it throughout the empire. Instead, its distribution suggests something much more localized. This observation has led researchers to consider another possibility. Perhaps the object wasn't part of everyday Roman life at all. Perhaps it belonged to communities living along the empire's northern frontier, regions where Roman traditions mixed with older Celtic cultures that had existed long before Roman conquest. This idea gains support from several archaeological discoveries. Many dodecahedrons have been found in rural settlements rather than major Roman cities. Others have been recovered near villas, small villages, temples, or isolated locations where local traditions often continued alongside Roman administration. However, it's important not to overstate the evidence. Some internet theories claim that every dodecahedron was found in sacred sites or ritual locations. The archaeological record doesn't support that conclusion. The discovery sites are diverse, and no single pattern explains every find. What researchers can say is that the objects appear most often in the frontier provinces, where different cultures interacted for centuries. That alone makes them unusual. Modern technology has added another layer to the investigation. Researchers now use geographic information systems, GIS, and AI-assisted mapping to compare the precise locations of every known dodecahedron. Computers can analyze terrain, nearby settlements, Roman roads, rivers, military forts, and trade routes, searching for relationships that would be difficult to recognize manually. These studies have revealed fascinating trends. Many dodecahedrons were discovered relatively close to Roman roads, suggesting they circulated within established communities rather than being isolated ceremonial objects. Others appear near prosperous settlements where skilled bronze workers were active. This supports the idea that they were valuable items produced by experienced craftsmen. But the mapping studies also reinforce the mystery. Despite their widespread presence across the frontier, no clear connection links every discovery site. Some were buried individually. Others were recovered alongside coins, pottery, or everyday household items. A few were found in what may have been ritual contexts, while others appear to have been lost or discarded during ordinary life. The evidence refuses to point toward a single explanation. Artificial intelligence has helped researchers compare these patterns more efficiently than ever before, but it has not produced a definitive answer. Instead, AI highlights probabilities. It identifies clusters. It suggests relationships. But interpreting those relationships still depends on archaeologists carefully examining each site and its historical context. Perhaps the greatest lesson from the map is this. The Roman dodecahedron wasn't a random curiosity. Its distribution was deliberate. Someone invested time, skill, and valuable bronze to manufacture these objects across several centuries. Someone transported them across frontier provinces. And someone considered them important enough to preserve or bury in places where archaeologists would eventually uncover them nearly 2,000 years later. Whatever their true purpose, these were not accidental creations. They belonged to a tradition that history has almost completely forgotten. By now, one thing had become clear. The Roman dodecahedron was not an ordinary object. It required advanced craftsmanship, expensive materials, and careful design. It appeared across the northwestern frontier of the Roman Empire, yet left almost no trace in written history. Naturally, archaeologists began searching for answers. Over the last 2 centuries, dozens of theories have been proposed. Some seemed convincing at first glance. Others attracted public attention because they sounded dramatic. But when researchers tested each idea against the archaeological evidence, every theory encountered the same problem. None could explain all of the facts. One of the earliest suggestions was that the dodecahedron served as a measuring instrument. The different-sized holes appeared to support this idea. Looking through two opposite openings might have allowed someone to estimate distances or measure the size of distant objects. Since the Romans were brilliant engineers and surveyors, the theory seemed reasonable. However, detailed measurements revealed a major obstacle. No two surviving dodecahedrons share identical dimensions. The holes vary in size from one object to another, and there is no universal mathematical pattern linking them. If they were precision measuring devices, archaeologists would expect a standardized design. Instead, each example appears slightly different. Another popular theory suggested they were candle holders. Some artifacts were reportedly found with traces of wax, leading researchers to imagine candles burning inside the hollow bronze shell. The light shining through the 12 openings would certainly have created beautiful patterns. But experiments raise doubts. The open design makes it difficult to contain melted wax, and many dodecahedrons show little or no evidence of heat damage or soot that repeated use as a lamp would normally leave behind. A third proposal connected the objects to textile production. According to this theory, the different size holes were used to knit gloves or weave cords of varying thickness. Demonstrations have shown that such a method is possible. Yet possibility is not proof. No Roman artwork depicts the device being used this way, no written source describes such a technique, and microscopic studies have not consistently found where marks expected from repeated contact with fibers. Then came another fascinating idea. Some historians proposed that the dodecahedron had an astronomical purpose. The carefully arranged holes might have been used to observe the position of the sun or measure seasonal angles, helping determine important dates for agriculture or religious festivals. The Romans certainly possessed impressive astronomical knowledge. But again, the evidence remains incomplete. The varying dimensions and lack of standardization make it difficult to demonstrate that every dodecahedron could perform the same observations accurately. Perhaps the most intriguing possibility is that the objects held ceremonial or symbolic significance. Many archaeologists point out that expensive bronze artifacts were often associated with status, religious practice, or public ceremony. The unusual shape, the careful craftsmanship, and the limited geographic distribution could indicate that the dodecahedrons played a role in rituals or traditions unique to certain frontier communities. This theory has one important advantage. It explains why the objects might not appear in everyday Roman records. Ceremonial practices often varied between regions, and not every local tradition was documented by Roman writers. Even so, there is no direct evidence proving that the dodecahedrons were ritual objects. No ancient text describes such ceremonies. No artwork clearly depicts them in use. The archaeological record remains frustratingly silent. This is precisely where artificial intelligence has become valuable. Rather than choosing one theory over another, AI can compare every known measurement, discovery location, manufacturing detail, and archaeological context simultaneously. It can test whether one explanation fits the available evidence better than the others. So far, the results have been revealing. Instead of confirming a single solution, AI has shown that each theory explains only part of the puzzle. Some fit the object's shape, others fit its distribution. Others match the craftsmanship, but none successfully account for every known example. In other words, the Roman dodecahedron continues to resist simple explanations. And perhaps that's why it remains one of archaeology's greatest unsolved mysteries. The more evidence researchers gather, the clearer one conclusion becomes. The object almost certainly had a purpose. History has simply forgotten what that purpose was. For almost 300 years, the Roman dodecahedron has resisted every attempt at a definitive explanation. Archaeologists have measured it, compared it, photographed it, and tested dozens of theories. Yet despite all that effort, the object continues to guard its secret. Now, researchers have a powerful new ally. Not a new excavation, not a newly discovered manuscript, but technology. Over the last decade, archaeologists have begun studying Roman dodecahedrons using tools that previous generations could only imagine. High-resolution 3D scanners can record every millimeter of an artifact without causing damage. Digital models allow researchers across the world to examine the same object simultaneously, rotating it from every angle and comparing it with other specimens in virtual space. These digital models have revealed subtle details that are difficult to notice during ordinary examination. Tiny casting imperfections, differences in wall thickness, evidence of how the bronze cooled after being poured into its mold. Even the smallest manufacturing marks can provide clues about how ancient craftsmen produced these remarkable objects. Another breakthrough comes from X-ray and CT scanning. Instead of examining only the surface, archaeologists can now look inside the bronze without cutting it open. These scans reveal internal cavities, casting techniques, hidden repairs, and structural details that remained invisible for centuries. In some cases, researchers have discovered that different workshops used slightly different production methods. This suggests that Roman dodecahedrons were not made in a single location. Instead, skilled bronze workers across several frontier provinces may have been producing them over many decades. Artificial intelligence has added another layer to the investigation. Modern AI systems excel at recognizing patterns within enormous datasets. Researchers can feed measurements from every known dodecahedron into computer models, allowing AI to compare dimensions, hole sizes, manufacturing techniques, and discovery locations simultaneously. A human researcher might spend months comparing dozens of artifacts. AI can perform similar comparisons in minutes. That doesn't mean the computer knows the answer. Instead, it identifies relationships that deserve closer investigation. For example, AI can determine whether certain hole sizes appear together more often than expected, whether objects from specific regions share manufacturing techniques, or whether certain designs changed over time. These insights help archaeologists ask better questions, but they do not replace archaeological evidence. One particularly exciting area of research involves experimental archaeology. Instead of simply studying the artifacts, researchers create accurate replicas using traditional bronze casting techniques. They then test different theories under controlled conditions. Could the object measure distance? Could it support a candle? Could it function as a surveying device? Could it assist textile production? Each experiment produces valuable information. Some ideas prove impractical almost immediately. Others demonstrate that a proposed function is physically possible. Yet possibility alone isn't enough. An experiment may show that the dodecahedron could perform a certain task, but archaeologists still need historical evidence, proving that it actually did. That distinction is critical. It's one reason why the mystery remains unsolved despite decades of experimentation. Perhaps the greatest lesson from modern technology is not that it has solved the Roman dodecahedron. It's that it has eliminated several unlikely explanations while refining the questions researchers continue asking. Every scan, every digital reconstruction, every laboratory analysis, every AI-assisted comparison, each one narrows the field. And while no single breakthrough has revealed the object's true purpose, the combined evidence is bringing historians closer than ever before. The Roman dodecahedron may still refuse to explain itself. But thanks to modern science, it is becoming increasingly difficult for its secrets to remain hidden forever. After more than 2 centuries of research, one fact remains undeniable. The Roman dodecahedron is still one of archaeology's greatest unsolved mysteries. Historians have proposed dozens of explanations. Engineers have studied its geometry. Metalworkers have recreated it using ancient casting techniques. Archaeologists have carefully documented every known discovery. Artificial intelligence has compared measurements, mapped find locations, and analyzed patterns across more than 130 surviving examples. Yet no single theory explains every piece of evidence. And perhaps that's exactly what makes this object so extraordinary. Among professional archaeologists today, there's growing agreement on one point. The Roman dodecahedron was almost certainly not a child's toy or a meaningless decoration. The time, skill, and expense required to produce these bronze objects suggest they served an important purpose for the people who owned them. Whether that purpose was practical, ceremonial, symbolic, or something entirely different remains unknown. One possibility is that the answer has simply disappeared with history. Unlike stone monuments or written inscriptions, knowledge can vanish surprisingly quickly. If the dodecahedron belonged to a specialized group of craftsmen, priests, or local communities, its purpose may never have been widely recorded. As generations passed and traditions faded, the object remained, but the knowledge needed to understand it was lost. History offers many examples of forgotten technologies and customs. Ancient musical instruments whose melodies can no longer be heard. Engineering techniques that took centuries to rediscover. Languages that survived only in fragments. The Roman dodecahedron may belong to that same category, a surviving object from a tradition that disappeared without leaving a written explanation. Artificial intelligence is helping researchers move closer to the truth, but it is not delivering miraculous answers. AI can compare shapes, identify manufacturing similarities, organize archaeological records, and highlight patterns across hundreds of discoveries. It can suggest possibilities that deserve further investigation, but it cannot replace evidence. It cannot invent historical records that no longer exist, and it cannot transform speculation into fact. The true value of AI lies in helping archaeologists ask better questions, not providing final answers. Perhaps one day, a new excavation will uncover a dodecahedron alongside an inscription explaining its purpose. Perhaps an undiscovered Roman text will describe how it was used. Or perhaps another perfectly preserved example will emerge from the soil with clues that have remained hidden for nearly 2,000 years. Until then, the Roman dodecahedron continues to challenge every generation of researchers. It reminds us that even one of history's best documented civilizations still holds secrets. Not because those secrets are impossible to solve, but because history is incomplete. Every archaeological discovery is only one piece of a much larger puzzle, and sometimes the missing piece has not yet been found. So, did Grok AI finally reveal the true purpose of the Roman dodecahedron? Based on the publicly available evidence, no. There is no verified archaeological consensus confirming that AI has solved the mystery. But AI has become a powerful research tool, helping experts analyze evidence in ways that were unimaginable just a few years ago. As new discoveries are made and new technologies emerge, the possibility of solving this ancient puzzle becomes more realistic than ever. Until that day arrives, the Roman dodecahedron remains exactly what it has been for centuries. A beautifully crafted object, a masterpiece of ancient engineering, and one of the greatest unanswered questions left behind by the Roman world. What do you think? Was the Roman dodecahedron a scientific instrument, a ceremonial object, or something no one has yet imagined? Share your theory in the comments below. If you enjoyed this documentary, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because sometimes the greatest discoveries aren't the answers we find. They're the mysteries that inspire us to keep searching.